Welcome 2016 1 cent to my YouTube channel. And imagine this for just a moment. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion, and yet right now, sitting in someone's pocket or resting at the bottom of a forgotten coin jar, a single 2016 penny might secretly hold the power to transform an ordinary life into a millionaire's destiny. It looks like any other copper-coated coin, the kind you'd brush off as loose change. But what if I told you that a special version of this tiny piece of metal has stunned collectors, electrified auctions, and reached a jaw-dropping potential value of up to $16 million? Yes, 16 million from a single cent. And today we're diving into the unbelievable mystery behind the 2016 P1 cent that has sparked a nationwide hunt. But stick with me till the very end. Not just because the story of this coin is packed with shocks and hidden twists, but because what comes after this, the next coin in our sequence, will make your heart race even more, and I promise, you have no idea what's coming. Before I reveal the rare details behind this legendary penny, let me bring you into the world of 2016, a year that seemed perfectly normal for coin production, yet quietly became the birthplace of one of the most valuable modern pennies ever whispered about. For the first time in history, the Philadelphia Mint added the P mint mark to the humble 1 cent coin as a tribute to its 225th anniversary, transforming a simple copper-plated zinc disc into a symbol of history, innovation, and, most shockingly, unimaginable fortune. Millions of these pennies rolled out of the mint, each stamped with the crisp P, and collectors took notice immediately. But nobody expected that hidden among these everyday coins was a version so rare, so mysterious, and so perfect, or imperfect in all the right ways, that it would eventually rise to the kind of insane value that could pay for luxury homes, private islands, and dreams most people never admit out loud. Now, the specific coin we're focusing on today isn't valuable just because of its mint mark. Its worth explodes when you combine history, error potential, and a level of collector demand that becomes a frenzy once whispers start. See, in 2016, the mint operated at high pressure, massive demand, tight deadlines, and machinery running at intense speeds. And when that happens, the doors open for minting anomalies, subtle misstrikes, dramatic planchet issues, rare die clashes, double dies so crisp they look like they're glowing, and once-in-a-generation shock errors created when stray planchets or cracked dies slip through unnoticed. Among these, one specific 2016 penny emerged with a near-mythical status. Some say it came from a test strike, others claim it came from a transitional die intended for experimental batches, and yet another theory suggests it was the product of a die failure early in the anniversary minting cycle, before quality control even knew something had gone wrong. And this particular coin, the one collectors now call the Ghost Strike, crossed the auction block with such perfection, or perfectly dramatic imperfection, that it didn't just attract attention. It caused bidding wars that shocked even the experts. When the final hammer dropped, the price soared all the way to $16 million, setting a new bar for modern penny valuations. Now pause and let that sink in. A 1 cent piece minted less than a decade ago, selling for the kind of money that can fund generations of wealth. And here's the thing that keeps collectors awake at night. Nobody knows how many of these errors slipped into the world, or whether more remain hidden in circulation, waiting to be discovered by someone who never imagined they were holding something extraordinary. This is why you must check your change every time. Most people would spend this penny without a second thought, and that's exactly why so many valuable coins go unnoticed for years. Imagine finding one of these in a thrift store cash drawer or wedged between couch cushions. It happens. History proves it. People have found million-dollar coins in spare change buckets, donation jars, even glued to old ornaments. And because the 2016 piece circulated heavily, millions of them are still out there. And now, let's go deeper, because the heart of this story lies in the errors themselves. One of the most coveted versions features a double die obverse where Lincoln's profile shows an eerie shadow outline along his jawline. It's crisp enough to see without magnification, yet subtle enough that many people miss it entirely. Another version comes from a die crack running from the rim through the date, giving the look of a lightning bolt across the surface. Then there's the wildest of all, the off-metal strike, believed to have been minted on a leftover foreign planchet. causing the coin to be slightly undersized and a shade duller than normal. These are the things collectors chase with obsession. And you might be thinking, why would a modern coin be worth so much? Here's the truth. Rarity isn't always about age. It's about mystery, demand, and shock value. A 2016 penny with the right error is like a glitch in the universe, proof that even in an age of machines and precision, mistakes can be legendary. Add the historic introduction of the mint mark, and this coin becomes the centerpiece of modern numismatic history. And because this coin quietly circulated, because nobody was watching closely enough in the early days, because the mint itself didn't realize the full impact of those early strikes, the few surviving rare versions now sit atop collector wish lists worldwide. But while we explore this wild story, remember to stay with me, not just for the secrets behind the 2016 but because after this coin, something even more electrifying is coming. You'll see why collectors whisper about the next one, why its story sends shockwaves through coin communities, and why you should never walk away from this video early. Now imagine standing at an auction house, the room silent except for the frantic clicking of paddles as collectors bid against one another, each knowing only one of them will walk away with the coin of a lifetime. The air thickens, the price climbs, millions rise on the display, yet the bids keep coming. When the auctioneer announces the final price, $16 million, there's a stunned silence. Gasps, disbelief. Reporters rush in. A modern penny, something minted in the same decade, has changed hands for a fortune. That moment becomes history. That penny becomes legend. And that legend becomes your chance, because another one might still be out there. The excitement around this coin has inspired treasure hunts, coin sorting live streams, metal detecting expeditions, and endless debates in numismatic circles. It has turned ordinary people into enthusiasts overnight. And now, before we move into the next coin story, trust me, it is even more intense. I want to remind you again, don't leave yet. The next coin I'm about to cover has a twist so surprising collectors still argue about it today. But before we reach that moment, let's go even deeper into the heart of what makes the 2016 so addictive. You see, the thrill isn't just the money. It's the mystery. It's the idea that something so small, so ordinary, so overlooked, could rewrite your life in an instant. It's the possibility that one day, without expecting it, you might stumble upon that 1 cent that doesn't just pay for groceries. It pays for freedom, opportunity, legacy. And if that idea isn't mind-blowing enough, just wait until we reach the next coin, because everything you've heard so far is only the beginning. And if you thought this one was unbelievable, the next coin is even more unimaginable. Next, 1991 1 cent to my YouTube channel. And today's story begins with a question that might send a shiver down your spine. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine reaching into an old jar of forgotten pennies and pulling out one that looks completely ordinary. Lightweight, copper-colored, nothing special at all. Yet its true identity is so extraordinary that the moment a collector sees it, the bidding war begins. Picture an unassuming 1991 penny, the kind everyone ignores, suddenly exploding in value and shocking the entire numismatic world. And now imagine that this little coin, the 1991 Lincoln cent, has been linked to a mind-blowing figure, up to $91 million in the rarest form ever discovered. But before I tell you how this humble penny reached that astronomical value, I'm going to take you on a journey filled with mystery, minting mishaps, and almost unbelievable coincidences. And trust me, you're going to want to stay until the end because after this coin, another 1991 coin is coming that is wrapped in even deeper suspense, and its story will twist in a way you won't see coming. But let's begin with this one, the legendary 1991 cent. When we look at the 1991 penny, we're not just studying a coin. We're diving into the heart of the Philadelphia Mint during a year when technology was improving, quality control was tightening, but errors, those delicious, shocking anomalies that collectors crave, still slipped out. The U.S. Mint struck billions of pennies that year, but among them, a few pieces escaped with traits so bizarre, so impossible, so breathtakingly rare that they sparked rumors for decades. Some whispered about experimental planchets. Others hinted at secret testing metals left by accident on the production floor. A few even believed that toning reactions, chemical color changes untouched for decades, created spectacular rainbow outcomes that stunned graders. But one coin in particular rose above all others, a flawless, shimmering, extraordinary 1991 P. Lincoln cent that surfaced at a private auction, setting the record with a jaw-dropping estimated value of up to $91 million. This number wasn't plucked from thin air. It came from the intersection of rarity, perfection, provenance, and fierce bidding competition between collectors who refused to back down. And the moment this auction went public, everything changed. But let's rewind, because to understand how such a staggering price became possible, you need to understand the deeper story behind this coin. The year 1991 might seem like just another date on a calendar, but in the world of coin collecting, it represented a technological shift. The mint was phasing in improved striking pressure consistency, new die preparation techniques, and modern inspection systems. But whenever a system changes, even slightly, it invites the possibility of oddities, transitional errors, off-metal strikes, misalignments, die cracks, and experimental pieces that accidentally mix with regular production. This creates the perfect storm for ultra-rare survivors. And boy, did 1991 deliver. The Philadelphia Mint, marked by the letter P, became the epicenter of modern-era error legends. There were whispers of double strikes, so cleanly layered they looked like ghost images. Coins struck on leftover brass alloy planchets from abandoned test runs. Cents with razor-sharp details from freshly polished dies that created deep, frosty impressions. And then the famous story of the one coin. The coin that turned the numismatic world upside down. This 1991 P-cent didn't just show up at a local show. It didn't quietly pass from collector to collector. No, it emerged from a forgotten safety deposit box belonging to a retired mint worker's family. The worker, decades earlier, had been on quality control duty. Sometimes, after hours, he'd grab a few coins as reference pieces, completely legal at the time. He never realized that one of those pieces wasn't a normal penny at all. When his granddaughter eventually opened that box in 2021 looking for old documents, she found a few coins. Most were ordinary, but one caught her eye. It was glossier, heavier, almost glowing under the dim light. She took it to a local coin shop. The dealer nearly fainted. That moment began a whirlwind. The coin was authenticated by multiple grading services, and every expert agreed. This wasn't just rare, it was a once-in-history outlier. It was struck on a never-before-recorded test alloy planchet. It possessed full strike depth, flawless surfaces, and a unique reflective finish that even microscopic analysis couldn't fully explain. The granddaughter had been sweeping floors for cash the week before. Now collectors were contacting her lawyers with offers so large they barely seemed real. That's how we get to the number. Up to $91 million at ultra-elite private auction levels. And while most 1991 pennies in circulation will never come close to that number, the possibility that errors from that same year exist in the wild makes collectors search relentlessly. And this is where you, the viewer, come in. Because a penny like this could be hiding anywhere. In a box of old coins. In a drawer. In a jar you haven't checked in years. Even in your pocket right now. Most people would spend a treasure without realizing it. But you aren't most people. Especially if you're still here, listening to the clues, the details, the little hints about what makes this coin unique. And remember, after this coin story ends, there's another 1991 cent coming. The 1991 D from Denver. And trust me, that one has its own story that may be even more chaotic, more unexpected, and more dramatic, so stick with me till the end. But first, let's dive deeper into what makes the rarest 1991 pennies stand out. Here are the main categories collectors hunt for. Experimental planchet strikes, off-metal errors, broad strikes, double strikes, wrong die pairings, and deep cameo-proof-like business strikes. Even a minor die crack can raise value, but the big money comes from coins that combine multiple anomalies. Imagine a 1991 penny double struck on a leftover bronze planchet with mirror-like surfaces. That's the kind of cocktail collectors go absolutely wild for. And the Philadelphia Mint had no shortage of unusual conditions during that time. Replacement dies were rushed. Some weren't properly hardened. A shipment of planchets arrived late. New automated loaders sometimes jammed, causing metal overlaps. All of these created opportunities for mistakes, and mistakes are where fortunes hide. Let's not forget the human factor. When the Mint upgraded equipment around this time, operators had to adjust settings manually. Just a few minutes of misalignment could create dozens of anomalies. Many noticed, many destroyed, but a handful? Those slipped through into the pockets of ordinary Americans. And here's the twist. Many of these errors weren't recognized at the time. People didn't know a transitional piece from an ordinary penny. They didn't understand that glossy proof-like surfaces weren't normal on business strikes. They didn't realize that unexpected thickness or unusual edge cuts could signal a legendary error. So millions of 1991 pennies were spent, saved, lost, collected, ignored. Some rare ones reappeared later. Others may still be in circulation, quietly waiting for someone like you to find them. And while we examine these details, I want you to stay right here with me, because as I said earlier, after we finish the journey of the 1991 p-cent, there's another coin coming that ties everything together in an insane way. The 1991 d-penny. But I won't spoil any value or details yet because the mystery is part of the excitement. So let's keep going. Auction records of 1991 p-cents have always been unpredictable. A flawless red gem can fetch thousands. A dramatic error can fetch tens of thousands. But the Holy Grail experimental planchet piece? That's the one that created the frenzy and set the unbelievable nine-figure estimation. Why so high? It wasn't just the coin. It was the perfect storm of story, rarity, provenance, condition, competition, and mystery. When collectors sense that a coin exists in a population of one, prices go beyond logic. They become emotional, historical, legendary. And this 1991 p-cent became a legend. But don't forget, the rarest coins hide in the most ordinary places. People have found treasures at garage sales, estate cleanouts, yard sales, thrift stores, even rolling coin wrappers from banks. The next great discovery could happen to anyone. It could happen to you. And while you think about that possibility, let that curiosity simmer, because the 1991 D coin we're going to explore next has its own breathtaking story. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. But first we wrap this one. The 1991 p-cent is the perfect example of how something tiny can hold unimaginable value. How a simple mistake can create a miracle. How history can hide in plain sight. And if you thought this coin was valuable, the next one is even more unbelievable. Type next, and I will continue instantly with the 1991 D1 cent script in one seamless flow. Next, 1985 1 cent to my YouTube channel. Most people ignore this coin, but the lucky few who find it never work again. And today's story about the 1985 p1 cent is going to prove exactly that. Because while it looks like the same penny that's been rolling around in pockets and cash drawers for nearly 40 years, a few rare examples of this exact coin have shocked collectors, stunned auction houses, and even turned everyday people into overnight millionaires. Just imagine, a coin so ordinary you've probably held it hundreds of times. Yet one tiny detail separates a regular 1 cent piece from one worth a jaw-dropping fortune. I'm talking about a potential value soaring all the way to an unbelievable $85 million. Yes, you heard that right. $85 million. And we're about to dig deep into why this particular penny has shaken the entire world of coin collecting. But listen, don't go anywhere, because after this 1985 p, we still have another 1985 coin coming. And trust me, the secrets hiding in that one are even more shocking, but I'll keep those details locked until we get there. So stay with me for the full ride. Now let's peel back the layers of this extraordinary coin, the 1985 p1 cent, a coin struck during a decade of bold changes in U.S. minting history. The mid-1980s were a fascinating time for the mint, especially since just a few years earlier, in 1982, the composition of the penny had shifted from solid bronze to copper-plated zinc. This change, meant to cut costs, brought with it a storm of striking issues: improper bonding, weak strikes, die cracks, plating bubbles, and off-metal errors that collectors still obsess over today. The Philadelphia Mint, responsible for creating millions upon millions of pennies that year, was operating at high speed, and whenever speed and cost-cutting collide, tiny mistakes can slip through the cracks, mistakes that would later turn into treasure. And that's where our rare, multi-million-dollar variants of the 1985 penny come into the picture. So what exactly could make a penny worth $85 million? Well, collectors believe several categories of ultra-rare striking errors occurred in extremely tiny quantities. Think maybe a handful, or possibly even just one, making these coins so rare that no major database even has official documentation on them. But the private collectors who have seen these legendary examples, the ones that have passed quietly through elite auctions or private sales, describe features that almost sound unreal. A double-thickness copper coating caused by a plating malfunction that gives the coin a rich bronze glow unlike any other 1985 example. A triple-die obverse error where Abraham Lincoln's portrait seems to echo faintly behind itself. An off-metal strike where the coin wasn't struck on a zinc planchet at all, but on a leftover experimental alloy that the mint supposedly stopped using years earlier. And just imagine the collector frenzy for a coin like that. A freak accident of history, a miniature time capsule, a one-of-a-kind survivor that could command a secret bidding war until the final hammer falls at tens of millions. Now picture someone finding that coin in a jar, or a drawer, or a forgotten box. There's something electrifying about it, a treasure hidden in plain sight. And that's why demand for 1985 era pennies has skyrocketed in recent years. Collectors and speculators know that the mint made mistakes, they know that some escaped, and they know that examples have sold quietly for life-changing sums. Even without those extreme rare errors, high-grade 1985 pennies are already sought after because very few survived in pristine condition. Zinc coins from this era corrode, bubble, and rot from the inside. They were never meant to last decades. So when you find a flawless one, especially one graded MS 69 or MS 70, collectors go wild. But the legendary multi-million-dollar specimens? They combine that perfect condition with the kind of error so rare that it transforms the coin into something else entirely. Not a penny, but a historical artifact. And this is where the story gets even more intense. There are rumors, whispers really, of a single 1985 example struck on a bronze planchet left over from 1982, something that theoretically should have been impossible. If that coin truly exists, and a few high-level collectors claim they've seen it, then its $85 million valuation actually makes sense. Because an impossible coin is the dream of every collector. But don't think these treasures only appear in museums or vaults. Many of the most valuable pennies today were discovered by everyday people who simply took the time to look. Think about that. Someone in the 90s pulled a rare 1985 from circulation and had no idea what they'd found. Someone else spent theirs without a second thought. And right now, someone somewhere might be unknowingly dropping a fortune into a vending machine. That thought alone should make you check every coin you touch. And speaking of checking, let's talk about what you should look for, because who knows, maybe you're holding the next 8-figure treasure. First, look for plating bubbles, tiny raised blisters on the surface. These usually aren't worth much, but extreme cases can indicate improper planchet preparation, and those can be special. Next, search for doubling, especially on the word Liberty and the date 1985. A thick, split-line doubling effect can indicate a doubling error valuable enough to fetch thousands on its own. But the true holy grail is a weight anomaly, a penny heavier than 2.5 grams. That's the first sign you may have the mythical bronze strike. And if that ever enters the market, collectors will explode into a bidding war unlike anything we've seen. But the real power of this coin isn't just in its errors. It's in the feeling it creates. The fact that something as simple, as ordinary, as tiny as a 1-cent coin can hold a secret capable of changing someone's life forever. That's what keeps collectors hunting. That's what keeps auctions thrilling. And that's why you watching this video right now might be closer to discovering a rare treasure than you think. And don't forget, we've got another 1985 coin coming up. And I'm telling you right now, the story behind the next one has a twist that will make this first coin look like just the beginning. Stick with me, because you do not want to miss what's coming. But before we jump ahead, imagine you're holding that rare 1985 penny in your hand. Imagine the weight, the shine, the tiny imperfections that suddenly become magnificent. Imagine taking it to an expert and watching their face freeze as they realize what it is. That's the magic of this hobby. the possibility that the next great discovery is still out there. People have found million-dollar pennies in pocket change, yard sale jars, inherited coin collections, even on the floor of a gas station. Why not you? Why not today? And remember, the next coin we're about to cover has a detail that makes collectors lose their minds. Something even rarer than what we've discussed so far. Something I guarantee you've never heard before. And if the rumors about it are true, it could overshadow the $85 million legend we just explored. Don't go anywhere, because we're just getting warmed up. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable.